Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, fatal drowning is the second leading cause of death in children ages 1 to 14. According to the Infant Swimming Resource, over half of parents do not consider drowning to be a threat to their children. In fact, you may feel this way yourself and say that your children will be different because you will keep an eye on them when around water. However, statistics tell a different story. Of all preschoolers who drown, 70% are in the care of one or both parents at the time of the drowning. As a formal national level swimmer, lifeguard, swim coach, and swim instructor, I can personally attest to the importance of teaching young children to swim. Drowning can result from overconfidence, panic, or a simple accident. I have never witnessed a drowning, but I have witnessed accidents where a child that is unable to swim falls into the water. I have taught swim lessons to both overconfident and fearful children, neither of which are characteristics that aid an untrained child in the water. Water is everywhere, and your children and grandchildren need to be taught how to survive in it. However, not everyone can afford or desires to pay for swim lessons. I will take the next few minutes to explain the proper steps of how to teach children ages 3 and up to swim. Remember, it is important to demonstrate everything you say, and to break even the smallest steps down into baby steps. I will begin with breathing technique. Teaching breathing technique begins simply by blowing bubbles out of the nose. Wade in the shallow water, or more preferably, sit or stand on the stairs of a pool if available. Before asking the child to submerge his head in the water, teach him first how to breathe in through his mouth and out through his nose. Demonstrate this by exaggerating and breathing heavily so that the child properly understands the inhale-exhale process, like so. Once the child masters the inhale-exhale process above water, demonstrate the following process. With your head above water, breathe in through your mouth, close your mouth, and submerge your head while blowing bubbles through your nose. Repeat the process until the child is comfortable blowing bubbles. After the swimmer masters blowing bubbles, you can move on to kicking technique. Teaching kicking is best done with using a kickboard. If you do not have a kickboard, have the child hold your shoulders while stretching his body away from you. This technique is not preferred because fearful children will cling to your body, and it is very difficult to get them to stretch out if they're determined to cling to you. Also, as I can personally attest, it's very easy for a child to unintentionally injure you if he clings to your neck or your face. So, you hold on to the front of the kickboard while the child holds on to the other end. Encourage the child to splash his feet. You can show him by using your own legs or showing him the process with your arms. He's going to splash his feet. After the child grows more proficient at splashing his feet, ask him to boil the water instead. Demonstrate by kicking with your feet barely under the surface of the water, not allowing your feet to emerge above the water, but also not allowing them to sink so low that you are no longer stretched outright. Finally, instruct the child to place his hands on the back of the board. This will create space in between the child's body and the board so that he will have room to submerge his head in the water to practice his breathing technique while kicking at the same time. After the child masters kicking and breathing technique, you can move on to teaching doggy paddle. Hold the child's hands and have him stretch out and kick while practicing his breathing technique. Essentially, you've become the kickboard. Inform him that you are going to let go and that he must continue to kick no matter what. Tell him to push the water down one hand at a time. Some children understand better if you tell them to pretend that the pool is filled with their favorite flavor of ice cream and that when you let go, they've got to scoop the ice cream with their ice cream scoopers. These are their scoopers. As the child begins to be able to go longer periods of time without your intervention, you can move on to the last step. The last step is to practice doggy paddle and breathing technique together. Tell the child to do the same doggy paddling as before, but to put his head in the water until he needs to breathe. He can lift his head and breathe as long as he likes at first. Eventually, you will want to encourage him to inhale only once through his mouth and then submerge his head in the water while paddling and looking at the bottom of the pool. After your little swimmer has mastered these techniques, you can rest assured that not only can your child keep his head above water for a prolonged period of time, but also that he can move laterally across the pool so that he will not become exhausted and drown. Earlier, I stated that water is unavoidable and that your little children must be taught how to survive in it. Hopefully by now you understand how to teach your children how to master the skills that they need in order to avoid the tragedies of drowning. Remember, each step must be done in order and broken down into little baby steps. Master breathing, kicking, and doggy paddling in that specific order. And be patient. Each child learns at his own pace. You could have a little swimmer in as little as a week or as long as a month. You may have to spend an entire week on blowing bubbles. How long the process takes is not important. What is important is the confidence that you will gain that your child is safe the next time you turn your back to speak to a friend at the pool, lake, or beach. Thank you very much.